In today's video, we're going to do something we haven't done in a little while. Let's play with the NHL Draft Lottery Simulator. We've reached a point in the season where teams are now becoming officially eliminated for the 2025 NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Which teams will be lottery teams? Who's currently in the best spots to win the first overall pick? Today, we'll take a look at who's presently in those lottery spots, and we're going to run a simulation based on the standings to see who would win the first overall pick if the draft went down as of today's standings. Plus, we'll conduct a mock draft after to take a look at who some of these teams might select, and that's coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today we're going to run an NHL Draft Lottery Simulation. We reached a point in the season where a lot of teams are starting to kind of know their fate here. A few teams have already been officially eliminated. We've only got a select few that are at a point where they're able to clinch here in the near future as well. But we're at a point now where we have a pretty good idea who most of the lottery teams are going to be. So today we're going to hop onto the computer. We're going to go into tankathon.com and we're going to use their NHL Draft Lottery Simulation tool to determine, based on today's standings, who might win the first overall pick. We'll take a look at who's in those best spots right now for having the best odds, and then of course we'll conduct a mock draft. So let's hop onto the computer to tankathon.com and get started. Okay, so here we are on the tankathon.com website with the 2025 NHL Draft Lottery Simulator tool. So as we can see here, these are the teams that are ranked, of course, from the worst to the highest, 1 all the way up to 32, based on today's standings here on March 23rd. So right now the Sharks are in last place. They have the best odds, followed by Chicago, Nashville, Buffalo, Philly, Seattle, Pittsburgh, Boston, Anaheim, in Detroit. They're the top 10, or Columbus in there as well, because you can move up a maximum 10 spots. So when you're talking about teams that can pick first overall, those are your teams. Then after that, you have the Rangers, Islanders, Utah, Vancouver, and St. Louis. Those teams are all still battling for playoffs and very well could, in some cases, even still make them. Like as of right now, I believe the Flames are sitting in a playoff spot based on points, but not based on point percentage. So obviously, this could change here a little bit. Interesting to see some teams that we don't normally see in this mix, like Boston, like Pittsburgh. Even to some degree, we didn't expect to see the Rangers there either. Vancouver, a little bit lower than we were expecting as well. So those are the ranking of the teams. If you look at the odds, for those who may not be up to date on everything. So the Sharks, even though they're the worst team in the league right now and they have the best chance at winning first overall, they still only have a 25.5% chance. It's still not great odds. If you look at first, second, and third, they have a better chance at picking first than second. Their odds of picking second is 18.8, but the odds of picking third and having two teams besides them win the lottery is 55.7. So it's still a very, very good chance that the team with the best odds does not win. So we'll have to see where things go. Obviously, there's a major drop-off from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, as you can see as we go down here. And Columbus would be the cutoff for teams that can actually have a shot at picking first overall. So now let's come back over here, and we're going to simulate this draft lottery to see, based on today, who would win. Who do you think needs this first overall pick the most? And we'll get into a mock draft here shortly thereafter. So here we go with the draft lottery simulation. There we have it, Columbus. Holy cow, Columbus Blue Jackets. Right now, they are a team that was looking like they just might be a Cinderella story and get into the playoffs. And they've fallen off a cliff here lately, but they go all the way up to maximum 10 spots to 1, followed by the Boston Bruins at 2. That is crazy. As I was just saying with the pick odds, unfortunately for the team with the best odds, which in this case is the Sharks, there's still a 55% chance they're not going to win. And those low numbers sometimes do come through. So in this scenario, Boston and Columbus really gets draft lottery lucky here, so to speak, and will certainly play a big role in this draft, and they will get some top-end players for their down season. Now let's hop over and we'll conduct a mock draft for some of these top selections. First overall with their draft lottery luck, here we have the Columbus Blue Jackets, and I have a new first overall pick since the last time we conducted one of these exercises, and it's Matthew Schaefer, the top player selected in the 2025 NHL draft from the Erie Otters. Of course, suffered a bad injury at the World Juniors, was slated to become a big part of the Team Canada. Had a couple of points in a couple of games, but then got hurt after going hard into the net. It missed a lot of time since then, but he's still, after being such a dominant player early in the year, by many considered to be the top overall selection. Has 22 points in 17 games, 6'2", 183, has all kinds of potential to be up in the Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes type of categories, but many project him to be close to an NHL. So that is absolutely would be a huge gift for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Selecting second overall, we have the Boston Bruins. At number 2 overall here, we've got James Hagens. Now, Hagens is selected to go by many to go anywhere from 1, 2, 3, as low as 4 in some cases, but I think the Bruins would go for the top center here in this draft. I mean, Hagens is a player that is close to home, New York born, but playing at Boston College, a player they probably will be able to see more than just about anybody else. Had a great performance with Team USA during the World Juniors, has a very high hockey IQ, is a pass-first centerman, but does have a good shot as well. It's had a good run this year with BC, putting up 35 points in 35 games in the NCAA, while also, like I said, having a good tournament as well. I think the Bruins would be delighted to get Hagens on their roster. Third overall, we have the San Jose Sharks, and I have them taking the very dominant from the OHL, Michael Misa. Misa could go as high as 2. I wouldn't even be shocked if he rivaled Schaefer for 1, to be honest, but Misa is a very special player, was granted exceptional status to start in the OHL early. He's got a phenomenal year, 61 goals in 64 games this year for Saginaw, 129 points overall. Certainly one of the best playmakers in this draft, terrific skater as well. Could be a franchise changer. And to me, if he goes to San Jose and they've already got Celebrini and Smith and others there, like that's just an embarrassment of riches in the forward group. I really think Misa is going to go on to do big-time special things here in the NHL. We'll just add to that level of craziness with the Sharks coming up here. Fourth overall, we have the Chicago Blackhawks, and I believe they would select Porter Martone at this point. Martone still having a solid year as well with Mississauga in the OHL, 6'3", 207 pounds, right winger, 35 goals, 95 points. Didn't get a chance to play a huge role at the World Juniors, but I think that was, to be completely honest and fair, on the coaching staff more than it was on him. He's got a great shot, terrific IQ, while being a great playmaker with good size. To me, reminds me a little bit of Drake Batherson, who's a really big, strong winger. Doesn't always play like it, has been more so lately, but has had the IQ, the playmaking, the shot, just has it all together. And obviously both played on Team Canada as well. And to be fair, I think he just reminds me of him. So I think he could be a really good, high-performing winger at the NHL. Next up, at 5, we have the Nashville Predators, and I have them selecting from the Q and the Moncton Wildcats, the top junior team in Canada right now, Caleb Desnoyers. Desnoyers is going to be potentially a really, really good player as well. 6'2", 172 pounds, put up 84 points in 56 games in the Q for the Wildcats this year. Like I said, has a chance to lead his team to a potential Quebec League Championship. I wouldn't be surprised to see these guys at all do that and have a Memorial Cup appearance. Desnoyers, a really solid overall player who would be a great gift here for the Nashville Predators after having a much unexpected down year for sure. Great playmaking centerman with a great shot and good skater with great speed as well. Next up, we have the Buffalo Sabres at 6 overall, and I have them selecting Victor Eklund. Eklund is a very dynamic, highly skilled two-way forward, known for his elite skating and high-end creativity, high hockey IQ, has been in the top 10 rankings for the bulk of the season here. Eklund should be a pretty solid fit there. He's put up 31 points in 42 games playing over in Europe. Should be viewed upon as somebody who's maybe needs a little time. I mean, he is only 161 pounds, so I think he's going to have to add a little muscle to have success in the NHL. He might need a little time before he can make that debut and stick in the NHL, I think. But long term, I think could be a highly skilled winger. That could be a very good pickup here for any of the teams in that 6 to 10 range. At 7 overall, we have the Philadelphia Flyers, and I have them selecting Roger McQueen, the Brandon Wheat Kings in the Western Hockey League. McQueen is definitely a player that's highly touted, but has missed a lot of time due to injuries. I do wonder if maybe the Sabres take him a pick sooner than this, but we'll see how the draft order actually plays out. But McQueen's 6'5", 192 pounds. He's put up 20 points in 17 WHL games this year. Like I said, the injuries have kept him out, which is problematic, but still scouts are very high on him. He projects to be a top 6 center with great size and great skill. So certainly you throw all that together, that can be a tough combination to find. But at the same time, you want to be sure that health-wise you're getting somebody who you've had a big enough sample size to see. So McQueen's draft order here could be impacted a bit by that. The Sabres might be smart to take him ahead of the Flyers, but either way, I don't see him going too far down the list. At number 8 overall, we have the Seattle Kraken. I have them selecting Jake O'Brien. Jake O'Brien, to me, could be a terrific pickup here from the Brantford Bulldogs, 6'2" centerman, 170 pounds, put up some really solid numbers in the OHL this year, 98 points in 66 games. I think if you look at the Kraken, obviously, they've been able to add a lot to their blue line here recently between the expansion draft and free agency. They got some high-end defensemen that are, between Dunn and Montour trying to eat up some big minutes. I think they need another dynamic forward to add to the mix. I mean, if there was a really high-end dynamic D, they'd have to, really consider it. But in my opinion here, O'Brien will be one of the higher point totals and higher skilled players remaining. He's got good size and skill, so I think he'd be a great fit for the Kraken. At 9th overall, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I have them selecting a dynamic defenseman here in Jackson Smith. Jackson Smith, 6'3", 190 pounds, left shot defenseman from the Western Hockey League, Tri-City Americans. Put up 10 goals, 42 assists for 52 points in 67 WHL games this year. Really, in my opinion, the Penguins need a bit of everything. And based on what is on the board at this point in the draft, I think they're going to have to take whatever they feel is the highest end player available with the best ceiling. And when I'm looking at the list here, I kind of feel Jackson Smith fits that bill for Pittsburgh. Next up at 10th overall, we have the Anaheim Ducks, and I have them taking a big defenseman here in Radim Murtka from the Seattle Thunderbirds of the Western Hockey League, a 6'6" right shot defenseman with a little bit of offensive upside. Put up 35 points in 42 games in the Western Hockey League, which is pretty good. I think he projects more like a top 4 blue liner, good mobility. Something maybe he has top pair potential. I think we'll have to wait to be seen on that one, but seems to be pretty decent at both ends of the ice. But with his size, the fact that he shoots right, the fact that he's a good mobile puck mover with top 4 potential, I think the Ducks would be all over that at this point in time. And I'll give you a bonus pick here, number 11th overall. We're going to go to the Detroit Red Wings. I know I said top 10, but we're going to go 11. Carter Bear, I think, would be their selection. Carter Bear, at this point, would be a good pick at this selection. Plays center as well as wing, 6 foot tall, 176 pounds. Another Western Hockey Leaguer with the Everett Silvertips. 82 points, a 40-goal scorer. I think Detroit could certainly use some more strong forwards here. I mean, they could use a solid D, to be honest, as well. They kind of need a little bit of everything, really, in my opinion. They do have some good goaltenders coming up. Outside of that, I'm not saying they don't have good prospects because a lot of them have graduated to the NHL, but I think a guy like Bear, who would be an extra, secondary scoring force, could play in the top 6 for them down the road, would be a good selection if this is how the draft works out. So that's today's draft lottery simulation. Let me know how you think it turned out. Which team do you think needs to win the first overall pick more than other teams? Who deserves it and who needs it the most? Let me know down in the comments, and also which prospects you're most excited about and where you'd like to see them head in the 2025 NHL draft. Thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.